The Reclaimers of Dawn were among the Primaris Space Marine chapters created during the Ultima founding at the direct order of Rabute Guilliman. Throughout the Indomitus Crusade, a group belonging to the gene lineage of Rogel Dawn, who were awakened from their long slumber in Magos Call's stasis vaults, constantly petitioned the Primarch Guilliman to be allowed to search for their gene sire. They knew that if the Imperium was to survive, it could only be accomplished through the strength of Rogel Dawn. As the Indomitus Crusade came to a close and Rabute Guilliman began to break up his forces, the Reclaimers of Dawn were founded as part of the Ultima founding. They took to the stars to search for their gene father and reclaim what was taken. To aid them in this quest, the Reclaimers of Dawn were given the mighty battle barge Bastion of Reclamation to serve as their fortress monastery during their long search amongst the farthest reaches of the galaxy. So let's paint one. For this epic paint scheme, we need an equally epic miniature, something that embodies all of the pomp of the Sons of Dawn. How about this guy? Special edition Space Marine Terminator Chaplain. Wait. Am I going to do a tutorial on how to paint a gold miniature by painting it black? How about this one? A Space Marine Captain. It's good, but it could be better. What we need is a miniature that is absolutely at the tip top of its class. Best Miniature 2019. Games Workshop. Yes. That is a fantastic miniature. That's exactly what we need. So we're starting off by base coating our miniature. All of the armor panels were scale 75 Viking gold. And before I get too much flack for this video, I want to point out two things. One, if you listen to this clip,
that head was actually painted by Mohawk Miniatures because he's an amazing guy as well.
You can see that I've done some painting for Valrak for the Reclaimers of Dawn. I'd like to point out that the closest I ever got to see of that head on that mini was in that video. The second thing is, I asked you if I could do this, and we're all good. So thank you very, very much, dude. I really appreciate you letting me use some of your artwork and some of the things that have inspired you to create this beautiful army in this video. Massive, massive thanks. Everyone will already be subscribed to you, but if not, there's a link to Valrak's channel down below. Go and click that and give him a follow and subscribe and so on. And there you go. Once everything's been painted with that gold base coat, this is what it's going to look like. You've got a nice, decent, shiny gold, but now we're going to start off with a very dark metallic. We're using the Vallejo Model Air Metallic Black, and the reason I'm using this rather than something that's a similar kind of hue to, say, Lead Belcher from GW is because I want to have these really big contrasts between our darker areas on the model and our lighter areas on the model. As you can see, like a fool, I painted the shoulder pads gold, but we're sorting that now. When we've got a miniature that's only really two colors, you need to get the absolute maximum out of both of those. And so by starting off with this almost black metallic in some lights, you really are going to get that really deep sense of contrast. We're going to start now with some washes on the miniature to enhance that sense of contrast. So we're using the strong tone from Army Painter for all of the gold areas and the dark tone for all of the silver areas. In my mind, these are better than the GW equivalents. I really like the way they work. They almost never add any sort of coffee staining to the miniature. I've gone through bottles and bottles of this stuff over multiple commissions and competition entries. You guys should really give them a try. I'm not sponsored by Army Painter to say that either. I really do believe it. Speaking of things that are better than the average, we're using this Vallejo Model Air Metallic Gunmetal. This is better than Lead Belcher because it applies a lot thinner and goes through the airbrush like an absolute dream. When you're painting this on the miniature, make sure all of your highlights go on nice and smoothly. Thin it with a little bit of water if you need, but being an air paint, you typically don't. Also, if you've got some battle damage on the mini, like I've got a fair bit on this one, make sure you just put a little bit of a highlight on the underside of that rather than both top and bottom. It really helps to sell that 3D effect. If you don't have any battle damage, just add in a couple of little scratches at this stage, you know, make your model look a little bit weathered. We're now working with some scale 75 speed metal, which is a super, super bright metallic. We're going to reinforce all of the highlights that we've got. And now you can see where all of that massive sense of contrast is coming out. We've got that super, super dark metal at our base coat. We've then darkened that even further with a wash. And that is extremely bright highlight is giving us massive separation between our detail and our base coat. For the gold, we're starting off with some Dwarven Gold from scale 75. You might need to thin this a little bit with water. It can come out a little bit thick like most scale 75 paints, but honestly, it's well worth using. When you're putting this highlight on though, be aware that you're applying more of a volumetric highlight. And what I mean by that is you're sort of building up the shape of the miniature rather than just an edge highlight. Because of our previous gold and that wash, we just want to bring back some of those shapes a little bit, and then we'll do a second highlight which will be more of an edge highlight in a sec. But this is going to really help to embody the sort of volume, the mass that this Space Marine has got, and really help it to stand out. The Elf Gold, you will need to be a little bit careful when thinning it. It can just thin out a little bit too much and make it very, very difficult to get good coverage on. But again, it's another solid gold from scale, well worth you using it. So if you're enjoying this video, why not press the like button and actually tell everyone that you enjoy the video? If you really like it, why not press the subscribe button and the bell icon too, so you can be notified of all the content I put up on YouTube. Typically, there'll be 2 videos a week, one in a short form, one in a longer form, and we also do videos that you can see over on Patreon as well. We put a video up there every other week. We also have written guides that go up every single week for you to enjoy. If that's not enough, then you can come and join in over on Twitch, where 4 days a week we're streaming, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. All the times and links are in the description below, so hopefully we'll see you in the streams. Now, once you've done all your gold highlights, this is what it's going to look like. Fantastic. You've still got a couple of details to pick out. You're going to use some Thramar black. You can use pretty much any black that you like. I happen to like this particular black because it's not too satin and it gives a nice finish to it. We're also painting the helmet stripe. This is a lieutenant after all, and I've sped this up because I realized after painting it the footage was a little bit dark and you can't really see what's going on, but we do solve that issue in a second. Now, to help showcase that helmet stripe and give it a little bit more contrast, we're taking some speed metal and we're just putting a little stripe, a little highlight on the silver areas right next to it. This is going to give us another big step change between one part of the miniature and another. We're just going to put a quick couple of highlights down on this skull on the helmet. You can see I basically painted it in one gold and highlighted it with another. Because it's so small, you don't need to get every little detail in it. You're just really looking for contrast. We're then taking some Mechanica Standard Grey. You can use any sort of mid-neutral toned grey for this. This is a really good one. GW have absolutely nailed it with this colour as far as I'm concerned. And one of the things that we're going to do here, other than highlight the vents, is also highlight this helmet stripe. Leave a little bit of black between this and the metal that we've put down earlier on. This will basically give it a nice sharp line, kind of like putting a stroke on lettering around the outside to really just like snap it into focus a little bit. And that's what we end up with, is something that really jumps out at you from the model. Last detail we've got to do is get some Thramar Black and Khador Red. You can use Evil Suns, that's fine. I've got a mix of 1 part black to 4 parts red for this, thinned with a little bit of water. Then we add in just some Khador Red for a second highlight. And then we finally come back in with some Flash Gitz Yellow mixed into that to get a nice final highlight on the eye lens. Now, if this Marine was alive, I'd also do a tiny little white dot towards the back end of the lens, but because he's a dead Marine on a base, sorry Varak, I didn't want to do that. I want to remove a little bit of the sort of vitality that this Marine has got. And this is it. This is the finished mini, the finished model. If you want to see how I did the Talon of Horus, there's a guide for that here on YouTube, link below. If you want to see how I did Drachnien, that's available for every single Patreon supporter. Normally just the video viewers, but it's a long guide about how to do glazing, which I think is really, really important. There's a written guide for that, which will be up by the time you've watched this video as well, so something you can all go and take advantage on. Again, link to Patreon is in the description below. Now, I'm going to leave you some pretty sexy B-roll pictures of this Marine and Valrak. You might want to look away now.